Welcome to Fly Guys. Join me as I travel from Hong Kong to Manila on Cathay Pacific's regional business class seat on their Boeing 777-300 aircraft. After spending a night at the Regent Hong Kong, I made my way to Hong Kong International Airport for my flight to Manila. This was the last leg of my trip from Atlanta to Manila, where I got to fly on Alaska and Hawaiian Airlines' 787 business class from Seattle to Seoul, as well as Cathay Pacific's refreshed regional business class on the A330 from Seoul to Hong Kong. I arrived at the airport 7 hours before my flight because I wanted to check out as many lounges as I could before my flight. I'll post links to my reviews of the Wing Business Lounge, the Bridge Lounge, the Pier Business Lounge, and the American Express Centurion Lounge in the description below. Hong Kong International Airport, also known as Chirlajok Airport, is Cathay Pacific's primary hub. It opened in 1998 to replace the old Kai Tak Airport, which was located in the densely populated Kowloon area of Hong Kong. The airport is massive. It was the largest in the world when it opened, and it remains just as impressive today as it was back then. Check-in was pretty quick and uneventful. Since this is the airline's primary hub, about half of Aisle B is dedicated to just business class passenger check-in. Before long, I was already airside and made my way through as many different business class lounges as I could access, which included all three Cathay Pacific business class lounges at this airport, the American Express Centurion Lounge, and the recently closed Chase Sapphire Lounge. My flight was departing from Gate 7. Boarding started a little over 30 minutes before our scheduled departure time of 10:05 p.m. Flight time is estimated to be 2 hours and 20 minutes, and our ETA to Manila's Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 3 is at 12:20 a.m. the next day. Welcome to Cathay Pacific's roughly 13-year-old regional business class on the Boeing 777-300. My first impression of the seats was actually better than that of the refreshed version I flew on the A330 a couple of days ago. I'm sure the larger cabin contributes to the experience, but this color scheme also gives the cabin some character, unlike the refreshed seats which attempt a more modern, streamlined look but fail to achieve it. You can definitely tell though that these older seats are quite worn out. Anyway, I'll post a link to my review of the refreshed seats in the description below. My seat on this flight was 17A. It is one of 42 business class seats spread across 7 rows in a 2-3-2 configuration. The cabin was probably only half full, so getting a window seat on this flight was pretty easy. Waiting at the seat are a Bamford branded pillow, a blanket, and the menu. We'll take a closer look at the seat later, but in front of you you'll find a 12-inch adjustable touchscreen monitor, which by the way wasn't responding to my touch gestures, the tray table, a generous amount of legroom, a coat hook, a multi-port connector including a USB-A port, and a caddy for your phone. The crew went around the cabin offering pre-departure drinks, greeting passengers by their last names, with the purser even saying "welcome back," and taking meal orders at the same time. For this flight, they are serving dinner which includes a starter of seasonal fresh fruit. The choices for the main dish include a stir-fried chicken with pickled young ginger and grilled prime Australian beef tenderloin with Pommery mustard sauce. And to round out the meal, there's a New York cheesecake with mixed berry compote. The rest of the menu features a selection of both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, including champagne, wine, spirits and liquors, cocktails, beer, juice, soda, coffee, and tea. Back at the seat, the tray table pulls out from below the IFE screen in front. You can use it folded to hold a drink and a few small items, or open it fully during meal service. In the center armrest, you'll find a small shared drinks table, the IFE controller, the seat controls, a literature pocket which also holds other small items, and the headphone port. Since this was such a short flight, the crew began meal service as soon as they could, which was about 15 minutes after takeoff for this flight. Service started with hot towels, followed immediately by the meal trays. Everything was served on a single tray, including the placemat, which was placed directly on the tray rather than on the tray table. But it all makes sense. I'm still amazed at how this can be done in Asia on a sub 2-hour flight, even in economy up to a few years ago. The food was actually pretty good. The beef was well cooked, tender, and flavorful. Naturally, after the meal comes clips of the lavatory. There's not much to report here except that it's standard sized, clean, and stocked with toiletries from the British brand Bamford. I did note, however, that one of the lavatories had a wonky flush. Other than that, nothing else stood out. The seat has a fixed shell. It reclines but doesn't convert into a fully flat bed, instead adjusting within the shell so it doesn't encroach on the passenger in front or behind. The seat allows you to independently control both the recline and the leg rest, as well as adjust the headrest in several ways. The IFE screen is definitely outdated and a bit slow to respond. In fact, the touchscreen feature on mine doesn't seem to work. Either way, there's definitely more than enough content to pass the time. Wi-Fi was available and free for Diamond members, as well as first and business class passengers. It didn't work for the first 20 minutes of the flight, and the power ports were also unavailable during that time. I didn't get to test the speed, but I'm assuming it worked well, as the passenger behind me seemed to be on a call the entire time. It was actually a bit off-putting. I've never seen this in the US before, and I'm not sure what's allowed in this part of the world. I assumed the person was on a Wi-Fi call, but I could clearly hear the entire conversation on both ends whenever I wasn't wearing my noise-canceling headphones. Maybe I should have said something, but I'm surprised that none of the flight attendants said anything. After just over an hour and a half, we began our descent into Manila. For such a short flight, I would consider this a good experience, even with the old worn-out seats. The service and food on this flight were actually better than on the one I took a couple of days earlier from Seoul to Hong Kong. It seemed like the Filipino purser was a seasoned Cathay Pacific flight attendant, and the rest of the crew also seemed more polished. In any case, if I had the choice between this seat and one from their long-haul fleet operating this route, I would definitely choose the latter. Heck, I even flew their long-haul first class on the same route back in 2016. So it's a good thing that Cathay is finally introducing a new regional business class product. It's inspired by their Aria Suites long-haul business class, featuring lie-flat seating and direct aisle access, though without doors and likely in a more simplified configuration. Not much else is known except that it will be introduced on the airline's Airbus A330-300 regional aircraft by the end of 2026, not on the Boeing 777-300. These older seats I'm on will simply disappear with the aircraft when it is eventually retired. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.